Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something today. There's one mistake people make when dealing with narcissists. One mistake that costs them their peace, their energy, and sometimes their very identity. They try to change them. The first mistake people make with narcissists is the belief that they can change them. This is a trap, and it's one that many people, out of the best of intentions, fall into. There's a part of us that wants to believe that if we just show enough love, patience, and understanding, the narcissist will come to see the error of their ways. But that's not the way it works. You can't change someone who doesn't think they need to change. Narcissists have a very specific worldview, and at the core of that worldview is the belief that they are superior to everyone around them. They don't see themselves as the problem. They see the world as the problem. They're entitled, they're self-centered, and they believe that they deserve special treatment, no matter the cost to others. When you're dealing with a narcissist, you're not dealing with someone who has the capacity for self-reflection in the way that most people do. They don't see their behavior as harmful or hurtful. Instead, they justify everything they do, whether it's manipulating others, lying to get their way, or belittling people to boost their own fragile ego. A narcissist sees all of these behaviors as necessary to maintain their sense of self-worth. And so when you try to change them, or when you try to fix their behavior, you're fighting a battle that's already lost. The narcissist won't acknowledge their flaws, because to do so would be to acknowledge their vulnerability. Narcissism is a defense mechanism, a shield that protects them from facing their own insecurities and inadequacies. Behind the bravado, the grandiosity, and the arrogance lies a deep, unresolved pain, a fear of rejection and failure so profound that they will go to extreme lengths to avoid it. In their world, being vulnerable is dangerous because vulnerability is seen as weakness. And if you try to point out their flaws, they will either deny it, deflect it, or make you feel guilty for even suggesting that there's something wrong with them. So when you think you can change a narcissist, what you're actually doing is attempting to change something that they're unwilling to see in the first place. It's like trying to convince a person who's blind that they should see the world through your eyes. They can't. They simply can't. Their mind doesn't work that way. They don't have the emotional tools to engage in real introspection or to empathize with others in a genuine way. Their world revolves around their need for validation, admiration, and control. And you, no matter how much you care about them, are not going to be able to shift that paradigm. What makes this mistake even more dangerous is that it can wear you down. The more you try to change a narcissist, the more you begin to lose sight of your own needs, your own well-being, and your own boundaries. You might find yourself constantly compromising, constantly trying to find new ways to make it work, and slowly, piece by piece, your self-worth begins to erode. The narcissist's constant manipulation, gaslighting, and emotional withdrawal will leave you feeling confused, exhausted, and disoriented. You will start to believe that maybe, just maybe, you're the one who is broken. And that's exactly what they want. The narcissist doesn't change because they don't need to. They are perfectly content with who they are, as long as they have control over their environment and the people around them. They will never, ever admit that they are wrong, because to do so would mean giving up the power they have carefully cultivated. And the moment they feel like they are losing that control, they will lash out, manipulate, or gaslight you into submission. Trying to change a narcissist is also an emotional trap because it plays into their manipulative tactics. Narcissists are experts at getting under your skin. They know exactly what buttons to press, what words to say, and how to make you feel guilty, inadequate, or confused. You might think that if you just love them enough or support them enough, they will eventually come around. But the truth is, their sense of entitlement and self-interest is so ingrained that they will never prioritize you over their own needs. What you need to realize is that narcissists can only change if they want to. Real change comes from within, and it requires the person to confront their own flaws, acknowledge their mistakes, and work on becoming a better version of themselves. A narcissist is unlikely to do this because in their eyes, they don't need to change. And if you keep holding out hope that one day they will, you're only setting yourself up for disappointment and heartache. The best thing you can do for yourself is to stop trying to change them. Let go of the belief that your love or your patience can fix someone who isn't ready to change. Instead, focus on setting boundaries, protecting your emotional health, and moving forward with your life. Narcissists will always be who they are, and it's not your job to fix them. It's your job to protect yourself. When you stop trying to change them, you can start focusing on what truly matters: your own growth, your own happiness, and your own well-being. Remember, you can't fix a narcissist, but you can fix the way you allow them to impact your life. It's time to let go of the illusion of change and accept that some people will never be who you want them to be. And that's okay. One of the most common mistakes people make with narcissists is ignoring ignoring the red flags. Often these early signs are subtle, little moments that, if you're not paying attention, can easily be brushed off as misunderstandings or minor flaws. However, these small behaviors are often the foundation of much larger patterns of manipulation, control, and emotional abuse. The problem is that people are conditioned to overlook these red flags because they want to believe in the best of the other person. They want to believe that everyone deserves a chance, that people can change, or that maybe they're just overreacting. But when it comes to narcissists, those little signs of problematic behavior are not just small quirks. They are indicators of a deeper issue that will only grow worse over time. In the beginning of a relationship with a narcissist, they often put on a charming facade. They might be flattering, attentive, and full of promises. They can be incredibly captivating, making you feel as if you are the most important person in their world. But this is exactly how narcissists draw people in. They create an illusion of love and care, making it hard to see their true nature. The red flags can sometimes be difficult to spot because the narcissist works hard to make you believe that they are the perfect partner, friend, or colleague. They make you feel special, seen, and valued, and it's easy to mistake this for genuine affection. But here's the truth. When someone's charm feels too good to be true, it probably is. Narcissists thrive on making others feel validated and adored in the beginning because it gives them a sense of control and dominance. They know that if they win your trust and admiration early on, they'll have you hooked and dependent on their validation. This is how they begin the process of gaining control over you through your emotions. As time goes on, the red flags become harder to ignore, but by then many people are already deeply involved. Maybe the narcissist starts to belittle you, dismiss your opinions, or make snide comments under the guise of joking. They might criticize your appearance or your choices, slowly chipping away at your self-esteem. The things that once seemed like small quirks now feel like attacks, but you might rationalize them, thinking that maybe they're just having a bad day or that you misunderstood their intentions. This is one of the ways that narcissists manipulate the narrative. They gaslight you into doubting your own reality. They make you question whether you're being too sensitive or overreacting, which keeps you from setting boundaries or confronting their behavior. Narcissists also have a knack for testing your limits. They might say or do something that feels off, but when you express discomfort, they'll backpedal quickly, apologize, and promise it won't happen again. For a while, this might seem like a sign of growth, a signal that they're willing to change, but over time, the behavior continues. Each apology becomes more hollow, and each promise becomes more meaningless. Yet, because you've been conditioned to believe that things will improve, you hold on to the hope that the narcissist will eventually change. But by ignoring these repeated red flags, you're teaching the narcissist that their behavior is acceptable, and they will continue to push further, knowing they won't face any serious consequence. Another red flag that is often ignored is their inability to empathize. Narcissists typically lack the capacity for genuine empathy, which means they can't understand or care about the emotional needs of others. When they make a mistake or hurt someone, their focus is rarely on how their actions affected the other person. Instead, they might make excuses for their behavior or shift the blame onto you or others. They will rarely take accountability for their actions because admitting fault would make them appear weak, and that is something they cannot tolerate. If you find yourself constantly being blamed for things that are not your fault, or if you find that the narcissist rarely apologizes or shows remorse, this is a major red flag. It's a clear sign that you're dealing with someone who is emotionally unavailable and unwilling to take responsibility for their action. The worst part is that ignoring these red flags can make it harder to get out of the situation once you realize what's happening. The longer you stay in the relationship or situation, the more deeply entrenched you become in the narcissist's web. The narcissist knows this. They know that if they can keep you in their orbit long enough, you'll start to believe that they are the only ones who understand you, that they're the only ones who can love you, and that you can't live without them. They create dependency using manipulation, guilt, and control to bind you to them. And by the time you realize how damaging this relationship has become, you may feel like you've already invested so much time and energy that it's impossible to walk away. Ignoring the red flags also means that you're allowing the narcissist to continue treating you poorly without any consequences. The longer you stay, the more likely it is that the narcissist will feel empowered to escalate their behavior. You might start to feel emotionally drained, unworthy, or trapped. The narcissist will have succeeded in making you feel that you are the problem, not them. But that's the lie. They are the ones manipulating you, gaslighting you, and eroding your sense of self. It's crucial to listen to your intuition. If something feels off, it probably is. If their actions don't match their words, pay attention. If they repeatedly cross your boundaries or make you feel bad about yourself, don't ignore it. Trust that these red flags are your subconscious trying to protect you from deeper harm. The earlier you acknowledge these warning signs, the easier it will be to take action before the relationship or situation becomes too toxic to escape. You don't have to wait until you're emotionally depleted, manipulated, or hurt beyond repair to act. Recognizing the red flags early on allows you to protect yourself, to set boundaries, and to make a choice for your well-being. You deserve respect, care, and honesty, not manipulation, gaslighting, and emotional abuse. Ignoring the red flags only prolongs the pain. Pay attention, trust yourself, and take control of your narrative before the narcissist can take control of it for you. One of the most destructive mistakes people make when dealing with narcissists is engaging in their mind games. Narcissists are experts at manipulation, and they often thrive by creating emotional chaos and confusion in the people around them. They do this through subtle yet powerful tactics designed to undermine your confidence, distract you from the truth, and keep you in a constant state of emotional turmoil. When you engage in these mind games, you're feeding right into their hands, and it only strengthens their control over you. The first thing to understand about mind games with narcissists is that they are often designed to provoke emotional reactions. Narcissists get a sense of power and satisfaction when they see you upset, confused, or hurt. They may not show it outwardly, but deep down, they feed off your emotional responses. Whether it's a quick insult, a passive-aggressive remark, or an intentional effort to provoke jealousy or insecurity, narcissists love to see how far they can push you and how much they can make you react. Engaging in these mind games is a dangerous path because it diverts your energy away from what's important, your peace of mind, your emotional well-being, and your clarity. The more you react to their provocations, the more power you give them. The narcissist doesn't want a rational conversation or a resolution to any problem. They want to maintain control over you by keeping you in an emotional state of flux. They want to provoke, dominate, and manipulate. And when you engage in their games, whether it's through arguing, defending yourself, or trying to reason with them, you give them exactly what they want: your focus, your energy, and your emotional investment. A classic narcissistic mind game is gaslighting, a manipulative tactic designed to make you question your own reality. They might deny things they've said or done, twist facts, or make you feel like you're imagining things. When you confront them about their behavior, they'll turn it back on you, making you feel as though you're the one who's overreacting, misremembering, or just being too sensitive. This tactic works so effectively because it chips away at your confidence and trust in your own judgment. As time goes on, you begin to second-guess yourself, and the narcissist becomes the voice of reason in your life. When you engage in these mind games, whether by defending yourself or becoming emotionally reactive, you're allowing the narcissist to control the narrative. Every time you try to justify yourself or explain your feelings, you end up losing ground in the conversation. Narcissists will never truly listen to your perspective because they're not interested in understanding you. They're only interested in maintaining their own narrative and ensuring that you remain in the role of the problem or the one who is difficult to understand. This is a key reason why arguing with a narcissist is often a futile exercise. You're not engaging in a dialogue, you're engaging in a power struggle where you are always at a disadvantage. Another aspect of narcissistic mind games is triangulation, a tactic where the narcissist will involve a third party, often to make you feel insecure or inferior. This can manifest in several ways, such as bringing up their past relationships, mentioning how someone else agrees with them, or even comparing you to someone else in a way that makes you feel inadequate. The narcissist knows that by introducing another person into the mix, they create tension and competition. They want you to feel like you're not enough, that someone else could do a better job at meeting their needs. When you engage with this, either by getting jealous or trying to prove your worth, you're allowing the narcissist to control your emotional state and your behavior. Narcissists also often use silent treatment as a form of manipulation. When they're upset or not getting their way, they'll withdraw emotionally and give you the cold shoulder, leaving you to wonder what's wrong and desperately try to fix it. The silent treatment is a game because it puts you in a position where you feel compelled to chase after them, apologize, or beg for their attention. But all of this is a ploy to make you feel small and desperate for their approval. When you engage with the silent treatment, you're reinforcing the narcissist's sense of power and control over you. You may feel like you're trying to earn their love or approval, But what you're really doing is perpetuating a cycle of emotional manipulation. The more you engage in these narcissistic mind games, the more your sense of self begins to erode. Narcissists don't want healthy, equal relationships. They want dominance. And every time you react emotionally, try to defend yourself, or become lost in their manipulations, you're reinforcing their power. You're letting them dictate the terms of the relationship, making you feel confused, uncertain, and constantly on edge. In a healthy relationship, communication is about mutual understanding and respect. But with a narcissist, communication is about control, manipulation, and the maintenance of their ego. The key to stopping this cycle is learning how to disengage. The more you stop reacting, the more you begin to reclaim control. Narcissists thrive on reactions because it gives them a sense of superiority. When you stop participating in their games, you take away the fuel that feeds their sense of power. Don't argue, don't defend yourself, and don't let their provocations get under your skin. The moment you disengage emotionally, you take back your peace, your clarity, and your ability to think rationally. When you stop engaging in their mind games, you allow yourself to step out of the emotional turmoil they've been creating. You don't have to fight for their validation, their attention, or their approval. You are worthy of love and respect without having to jump through hoops or cater to someone else's emotional manipulation. It's about putting yourself first, recognizing the tactics they're using, and understanding that their games are not about you, they are about their own need for control. One of the most important mistakes people make when dealing with narcissists is expecting empathy from them. Narcissists are individuals who have a deep and pervasive lack of genuine emotional empathy. This means they struggle to understand or care about the emotions of others in a sincere way. While they might be capable of mimicking empathy or feigning concern in order to manipulate a situation to their advantage, their emotional investment in others' feelings is shallow and often self-serving. When you expect a narcissist to truly understand your pain, your struggle, or your perspective, you are setting yourself up for inevitable disappointment. Empathy, at its core, is the ability to feel and understand the emotions of another person. It allows people to connect on a deep emotional level, to offer support when needed, and to act with kindness and understanding. In healthy relationships, empathy is a two-way street. Both people acknowledge and support each other's emotions, making each person feel heard, validated, and respected. But narcissists don't operate this way. They do not see their relationships as partnerships, but rather as opportunities to secure admiration, control, and validation. Their emotional responses are often dictated by what benefits them most in the moment, not by any genuine desire to connect with another person's feelings. When dealing with a narcissist, expecting them to care about your emotional needs is a mistake, because their behavior is not driven by love or compassion. Instead, it is driven by their need for narcissistic supply, validation, attention, and admiration. This desire to be praised and seen as superior often comes at the expense of anyone else's feelings, including yours. A narcissist may appear to show empathy at the beginning of a relationship, but over time, you will begin to realize that their concern for your emotions is more about them trying to control or manipulate the situation than it is about truly understanding you. When you share your struggles or express your emotions, they are likely to respond in ways that focus on themselves rather than offering you the comfort or support you need. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. Being kind to a narcissist is like giving water to a fire. It won't put it out, it'll make it burn hotter. Kindness is a powerful force. It can heal wounds, mend relationships, and bring out the best in people. But kindness alone cannot fix a narcissist. In fact, kindness, when given without boundaries, can become fuel for their manipulation. It's important to understand that a narcissist does not operate the same way emotionally as a healthy individual. They don't see kindness as an invitation to grow. They see it as an opportunity to control. When you encounter a narcissist, whether in a relationship, workplace, or even within your family, your natural instinct might be to approach them with patience and understanding. You might believe that if you are compassionate enough, if you love them enough, they will change. But that's the trap. Narcissists don't respond to kindness the way you expect. They don't see it as an act of goodwill. They see it as leverage. They see it as weakness. This is because narcissism is rooted in a deep sense of entitlement and a distorted self-immunity. A narcissist thrives on admiration and control. Their need for validation is insatiable, but it's not the kind of validation that builds mutual respect. It's one-sided. They want you to admire them, to cater to their needs, to make them the center of your world without them having to reciprocate. Now, let's say you show kindness to a narcissist. At first, they might accept it, even reward you with fleeting moments of affection or approval. But soon enough, they begin to test you. They start to take advantage of your kindness, pushing boundaries little by little. Maybe they disregard your feelings, ignore your needs, or twist situations to make themselves look like the victim. And when you confront them, well, they don't apologize. Instead, they gaslight you. They make you feel like you're overreacting, like you're the problem. They'll say things like, "You're too sensitive," or "You're imagining things." And if you persist, they'll either withdraw and punish you with silence, or they'll escalate the drama to make you feel guilty. This is why kindness alone won't work, because to a narcissist, kindness is just another tool they can use to control you. They don't see it as a reason to change. They see it as proof that they have power over you. So what happens if you continue being kind, hoping they will eventually appreciate it? You end up exhausted, drained, frustrated. You feel like no matter how much love and patience you give, it's never enough. And that's exactly how a narcissist wants you to feel. Because as long as you're trying to earn their approval, they are in control. But here's the truth. You cannot heal someone who refuses to acknowledge their own flaws. You cannot fix someone who believes they are always right. You cannot save someone who thrives on manipulation. This is where many people struggle. We want to believe that if we just love someone enough, they will change. But love isn't supposed to be a battlefield where you constantly sacrifice yourself for someone who refuses to meet you halfway. Love requires mutual respect, and narcissists don't play by those rules. So if kindness won't change them, what will? The answer is simple, yet difficult. Boundaries, self-respect, walking away when necessary. Because when you stop giving them endless chances, when you stop seeking their validation, when you stop playing their game, that's when you take your power back, and that's when they are forced to face something they've been avoiding their whole lives, their own reflection. You see, a narcissist relies on others to maintain their illusion of superiority. They need someone to admire them, to cater to them, to put them on a pedestal. The moment you remove yourself from that equation, their world starts to crumble. They panic, they lash out, they try to pull you back in with guilt, anger, or false promises. But if you stand firm, if you refuse to be manipulated, they lose control. And nothing terrifies a narcissist more than losing control. So don't waste your energy trying to fix them with kindness. Save your kindness for those who appreciate it. Save your love for those who reciprocate it. And most importantly, save your strength for yourself. Because the greatest act of kindness you can show yourself is refusing to let a narcissist define your worth. Setting boundaries is one of the most powerful things you can do when dealing with a narcissist. Many people believe that if they just continue to be kind, patient, and understanding, the narcissist will eventually change. But what actually happens is quite the opposite. Narcissists don't see kindness as a reason to respect you. They see it as an opportunity to take advantage of you. The more you give, the more they take. The more you excuse their behavior, the more they push the limits. This is why boundaries are crucial, not just for dealing with narcissists, but for maintaining your own mental and emotional well-being. The problem is many people struggle with setting boundaries because they feel guilty. They worry about hurting the narcissist's feelings or coming across as unkind. But the truth is, setting boundaries isn't about being mean. It's about self-respect. It's about valuing yourself enough to say, this is what I will tolerate and this is what I will not. If you don't set those limits, you open the door for the narcissist to manipulate and control you indefinitely. Narcissists test boundaries constantly. At first, they might seem charming, charismatic, and even caring, but over time, they start to disregard your feelings, minimize your needs, and slowly chip away at your confidence. They do this in subtle ways. Maybe they interrupt you when you're talking, dismiss your concerns, or pressure you into doing things you're uncomfortable with. And if you don't push back, they take it as a green light to go even further. They will continue to take and take until there's nothing left of you but exhaustion and self-doubt. This is why setting boundaries is the only way to protect yourself. You have to be clear and firm about what you will accept and what you won't. If you don't want to engage in toxic conversations, walk away. If they try to guilt trip you into doing something you don't want to do, stand your ground. If they constantly disrespect you, limit your interactions with them. The moment you start enforcing these boundaries, the narcissist will take notice. But here's the key. Setting boundaries isn't just about saying no. It's about how you say it and how consistent you are. A narcissist will not respect a boundary that isn't backed by action. If you tell them, I won't tolerate being yelled at, but you allow them to yell at you without consequence, your words mean nothing. Boundaries only work when you enforce them. You have to show that you mean what you say by following through with actions. At first, the narcissist will likely resist. They might get angry, throw tantrums, or try to guilt trip you into backing down. They might accuse you of being selfish or cold, but this is just their way of testing if you really mean it. If you hold your ground, they will realize that their old tactics no longer work on you. This is what truly shocks them. They are used to being in control. They expect you to bend, to apologize, to keep the peace at your own expense. When you don't, they don't know how to handle it. One of the hardest things about setting boundaries with a narcissist is the fear of their reaction. Many people avoid standing up for themselves because they don't want to deal with the backlash. Narcissists are experts at making you feel guilty for putting yourself first. They will play the victim, twist the situation, and try to make you feel like you're the bad person for protecting yourself. But you have to remind yourself, you are not responsible for their emotions. You are not responsible for fixing them. You are only responsible for yourself and your well-being. Another challenge is learning to say no without explaining yourself. Narcissists thrive on arguments and manipulation. If you try to justify your boundaries, they will find a way to poke holes in your reasoning. They will twist your words, gaslight you, and make you doubt yourself. That's why one of the most effective strategies is to keep your boundaries simple and firm. You don't owe them a long explanation. A simple, "I am not comfortable with that," or "I won't be engaging in this conversation" is enough. The moment you set boundaries, you will notice a shift. You will start to regain your confidence. You will feel stronger, more in control of your life. The narcissist will no longer be able to manipulate you as easily. And while they may continue to test you, they will eventually realize that you are no longer an easy target. They will either adjust their behavior, which is rare, or move on to someone else who is easier to manipulate. This is why boundaries are more powerful than kindness. Kindness alone won't stop a narcissist from crossing the line, but firm, consistent boundaries will. And the best part, once you master the skill of setting boundaries with a narcissist, you will start applying it to other areas of your life. You will become more confident in your relationships, your work, and your personal growth. You will learn to protect your peace without feeling guilty about it. At the end of the day, setting boundaries is an act of self-love. It's about valuing yourself enough to say, "I deserve to be treated with respect." And when you do that, you send a powerful message, not just to the narcissist, but to yourself. You remind yourself that you are worthy, that your feelings matter, and that you have the right to live a life free from manipulation and control. And that is something no narcissist can take away from you. Self-respect is one of the most powerful forces you can cultivate in your life, especially when dealing with a narcissist. Narcissists thrive on control, manipulation, and the ability to influence how others perceive them. They expect you to bend to their will, to seek their approval, and to prioritize their needs above your own. But the moment you begin to truly respect yourself, when you stop seeking their validation and start living on your own terms, that is when you shock them the most. Narcissists expect people to cater to them. They build relationships based on dominance rather than mutual respect. From the moment they engage with someone, their goal is to establish superiority. They may do this through charm, intimidation, or subtle emotional manipulation. And as long as you play along, as long as you keep trying to please them, impress them, or prove your worth to them, they remain in control. But when you develop true self-respect, their entire game falls apart. One of the key elements of self-respect is confidence. Narcissists prey on insecurity. They look for cracks in your self-esteem, weaknesses they can exploit. If you constantly seek their approval or feel the need to explain yourself, they see it as an opportunity to manipulate you. But when you exude confidence, when you know who you are and refuse to be shaken by their tactics, they become unsettled. They don't know how to handle someone who isn't desperate for their validation. Another crucial aspect of self-respect is the ability to stand firm in your decisions. Narcissists are masters of persuasion. They will try to push you into situations that serve their interests, regardless of how it affects you. They will guilt trip you, gaslight you, or create drama to make you doubt yourself. But when you have strong self-respect, you don't allow yourself to be swayed by their tactics. You make decisions based on what is best for you, not based on their manipulations. Narcissists expect people to be emotionally dependent on them. They want you to rely on their approval, to feel anxious when they withdraw attention, to work endlessly to regain their favor. But self-respect means detaching from that toxic dynamic. It means recognizing that your worth isn't determined by their opinion of you. It means walking away from situations that drain you instead of trying to fix them. And when you do this, when you no longer react to their attempts to control you, it confuses them. They don't know how to handle someone who doesn't play their game. game. Setting high standards for how you allow yourself to be treated is another powerful expression of self-respect. Narcissists often push boundaries to see what they can get away with. They might insult you under the guise of just joking, dismiss your feelings as unimportant, or constantly take from you without giving anything in return. But when you have self-respect, you make it clear that you will not tolerate disrespect. You don't justify, argue, or beg for better treatment. You simply remove yourself from situations where you are not valued. This shocks narcissists because they expect to be the ones setting the rules. When you refuse to accept mistreatment, you take away their power. Independence is also a form of self-respect that unnerves narcissists. They expect you to need them, to depend on them emotionally, financially, or socially. They want to feel like they are at the center of your world. But when you are independent, when you have your own goals, your own sense of purpose, your own support system, they feel threatened. They realize they can't control you the way they expected to. And this forces them to either change their approach or move on. Self-respect also means refusing to engage in their drama. Narcissists thrive on emotional reactions. They provoke arguments, twist words, and create chaos to keep you emotionally invested. But when you respect yourself, you don't waste energy on their games. You don't argue to prove a point. You don't react when they try to push your buttons. Instead, you remain calm, focused, and in control of your own emotions. This lack of reaction unsettles them because it takes away their ability to manipulate you. There will be moments when the narcissist tries to test your self-respect. They may suddenly act kind, showering you with compliments to see if they can pull you back in, or they may try to intimidate you, making you question your decisions. But when your self-respect is strong, you don't fall for their tactics. You recognize the cycle and you refuse to participate. The most important thing to understand is that self-respect is not about proving anything to the narcissist. It's about proving something to yourself. It's about recognizing your worth, honoring your boundaries, and refusing to allow anyone to dictate your sense of value. Narcissists are not used to dealing with people who have this level of self-assurance. They expect compliance, submission, and emotional dependence. But when they encounter someone who is unshakable in their self-respect, they are left powerless. In the end, the greatest shock to a narcissist is not anger, not revenge, not trying to change them. It is simply respecting yourself so much that their presence no longer affects you. That is when you truly win. Narcissists thrive on validation. They need constant admiration, approval, and recognition to fuel their inflated sense of self. They craft an image of superiority and they rely on others to maintain that illusion. But the moment you stop seeking their validation, the moment you detach from their approval and stand firm in your own worth, you disrupt their entire world. Narcissists manipulate through a cycle of approval and rejection. At first, they shower you with attention, praise, or charm, making you feel special and valued. But over time, they begin to withhold that approval, creating a sense of instability. They make you feel like you have to earn their affection, their respect, or even their basic kindness. They do this to keep you hooked, to make you dependent on their validation, to make you crave their approval like a drug. This is where they gain control. When you seek validation from a narcissist, you give them power over your self-worth. You allow them to dictate how you feel about yourself. If they praise you, you feel good. If they criticize or ignore you, you feel anxious, desperate, or unworthy. This emotional roller coaster is intentional. It keeps you focused on them, constantly trying to prove yourself. But the harsh truth is that no amount of approval from a narcissist will ever be enough. They will always move the goalpost, always demand more, always make you feel like you are not quite good enough. And that is by design. The moment you recognize this manipulation, you take back your power. When you stop seeking their validation, they lose their control over you. You stop reacting to their mood swings, their silent treatment, their passive-aggressive comments. You stop feeling the need to prove yourself, to explain yourself, to earn their respect. Instead, you realize that their opinion of you does not define you. You realize that their approval is meaningless because it is not based on truth, it is based on their need to dominate. This realization shocks a narcissist because they expect you to be emotionally invested in their validation. They expect you to care deeply about what they think of you. They expect their disapproval to shake your confidence. When you remain unbothered, indifferent, and self-assured, they don't know how to handle it. They will try to regain control. They may suddenly act kind, showering you with compliments or attention in an attempt to pull you back in. Or they may lash out, trying to provoke a reaction to reestablish their influence over you. But when you refuse to engage, when you continue to stand firm in your own worth, they are left powerless. Detaching from their validation doesn't mean you become cold or uncaring. It simply means you stop allowing them to dictate your sense of self. It means you find your confidence from within rather than seeking it from someone who thrives on keeping you insecure. You start valuing your own opinions, your own judgment, your own sense of worth, independent of their approval.